The instant you embark on the path of explaining yourself to individuals who have demonstrably shown no genuine inclination to comprehend your perspective, you inevitably commence a gradual relinquishment of your inherent strength and autonomy. This erosion doesn't manifest in an immediate, dramatic collapse, but rather unfolds subtly, piece by precious piece. Initially, your inner tranquility dissipates. Subsequently, your self-assurance wanes. And finally, your mental clarity becomes obscured. Before you fully grasp what's transpiring, you find yourself desperately striving to validate the sincerity of your intentions and the goodness of your character to those whose preconceived notions about you are already rigidly established. Listen very carefully to this profound truth. An individual who genuinely respects you will never compel you to indefatigably defend every boundary you establish for your well-being. Similarly, someone who truly values your essence does not require an elaborate, lengthy discourse to accept your moments of quiet solitude, your journey of personal growth, or your definitive refusal. The widespread exhaustion many people experience isn't primarily because life itself is inherently difficult. It stems, more accurately, from the relentless trials they perpetually stage for themselves before individuals who were never, in any capacity, designated to be their adjudicators or critics. And tonight, our discussion will delve into why the individual possessing the greatest strength in any given setting is so often the one who articulates less, offers fewer explanations, and gracefully withdraws without feeling the compulsive need to be universally comprehended. The very moment you initiate the process of explaining yourself to people who have, in truth, already made the conscious decision not to understand you, you forfeit something immeasurably more precious than simply winning an argument. You lose your inner equilibrium, your mental stillness, and ultimately, your profound sense of personal power. Regrettably, a vast majority of people engage in this draining behavior every single day, often without even realizing the profound cost. They meticulously explain the rationale behind their choices. They elaborate on their reasons for declining. They justify their departure from situations. They provide context for their personal transformations. And they feel compelled to explain why they are now prioritizing and safeguarding their inner peace. They explain and explain and explain again, clinging to the often futile hope that just one more carefully constructed sentence will finally illuminate the path to clear understanding for the other person. Yet, observe this pattern closely. If someone genuinely desired to comprehend your perspective, they would surely not require your 10th reiteration of the same explanation. Should someone truly hold you in esteem, they would never demand that you incessantly defend every personal boundary you have wisely established. Furthermore, if an individual's appreciation for you is conditional upon your making their life more convenient or comfortable, then no amount of explanation will ever prove sufficient. This is because the underlying issue was never a deficit in your communication. Rather, the fundamental problem resided in their unwarranted sense of entitlement to your time, your emotional labor, and your vital energy. There exists a particularly perilous habit that countless individuals unwittingly carry with them for many years. They labor under the misconception that their inherent goodness must perpetually be elucidated and accounted for. They mistakenly believe that every act of kindness requires a detailed justification. And, perhaps most significantly, they operate under the assumption that the simple act of saying no necessitates a full-blown courtroom defense. They harbor the belief that prioritizing their own needs, choosing themselves, is an inherently selfish act, unless they can meticulously present irrefutable evidence to the contrary. Consequently, their exhaustion doesn't spring from the natural demands of life itself, but rather from this relentless, internal trial they ceaselessly conduct within the confines of their own minds. They awaken each morning already on the defensive. They navigate their entire day in a posture of self-defense. They lie awake at night, their minds ceaselessly replaying past conversations, painstakingly rewriting sentences, imagining more articulate or persuasive responses, all in a desperate attempt to prove that they are neither cold nor arrogant, neither wrong nor cruel, neither difficult nor unreasonable. But one must ask, why are you living as though your very soul is perpetually on trial? Why do you behave as if your hard-won inner peace requires the prior approval of an anonymous crowd before it can be deemed valid or legitimate? An individual who possesses a clear, unwavering understanding of who they are feels no compulsion to meticulously translate their every action or decision for people who are, quite simply, committed to misunderstanding them. This assertion does not, by any means, advocate for becoming rude or discourteous, nor does it suggest an embrace of arrogance or excessive pride. It certainly doesn't imply becoming careless or indifferent towards the feelings and needs of others. Instead, it signifies that you have, at last, grasped the simple yet profound truth. Not everyone merits unrestricted access to the sacred confines of your inner world. Indeed, not everyone has earned the privilege of a full, exhaustive explanation regarding your deepest motives, your personal pain, your intricate journey of growth, your periods of reflective silence, your chosen timing, or your carefully considered decisions. It is crucial to recognize that some individuals solicit explanations not from a place of genuine care or concern, but rather because they are subtly, or overtly, seeking to exert control. They desire your precise words not for understanding, but so they can later twist and manipulate them to serve their own agenda. They probe for your underlying reasons, not to respect them, but to find avenues to negotiate and erode your carefully constructed boundaries. They seek your raw honesty, not to honor it, but so they can effectively weaponize it against you at a later, more opportune moment. Tragically, many individuals fail to realize this insidious dynamic until they have already irrevocably given far too much of themselves away, leaving them vulnerable and depleted. Now, observe closely what transpires when you purposefully cease the habit of over-explaining. The individuals who genuinely respected you will continue to hold that respect undiminished. Those who truly loved you will maintain their affection, unwavering. And the people whose intentions were sincerely benevolent will approach you with gentleness and curiosity, rather than applying undue pressure or demanding exhaustive details. However, those individuals who had grown accustomed to, and indeed dependent upon, your guilt as a means of manipulation will undoubtedly become profoundly uncomfortable. They will label you as changed. They will accuse you of being distant. They will vehemently declare you selfish. They might even complain that you are now hard to reach. And sometimes, paradoxically, these very accusations serve as an unmistakable sign that you are, in fact, truly healing. This is because the version of you they so strongly preferred was, inherently, a version far easier to control. The person they now mourn the loss of is often the very version of you who habitually abandoned your own needs and desires simply to maintain the comfort and convenience of everyone else. Many people erroneously believe that the act of explaining oneself extensively is an irrefutable hallmark of maturity. And whilst, at times, this can certainly be true, a clear, concise conversation is often essential. Love occasionally necessitates clarity. Professional work frequently demands context, and healthy relationships are built upon honesty. It is vital to recognize a fundamental distinction. There is a profound difference between authentic communication and mere performance. There is a nuanced but critical difference between genuine sharing and desperate pleading. Similarly, a chasm separates a healthy, reasoned explanation from a frantic, desperate act of self-defense. One springs from a deep well of self-respect, whilst the other is born of palpable fear. One confidently declares, "This is where I stand." The other anxiously implores, "Please do not be upset with me for daring to stand here." One message is delivered with unwavering clarity. The other is a tacit plea for permission to simply exist. And therein lies the more profound, underlying issue. Over-explaining is, more often than not, less a communication breakdown and more a manifestation of a deeply rooted self-worth problem. It is the pervasive fear that if others misunderstand you, your intrinsic value somehow diminishes. It is the terrifying apprehension that if someone perceives you as the antagonist, your entire identity might irrevocably collapse. It is the gnawing dread that if you don't constantly soften and dilute your truth, you risk utter abandonment. Consequently, you find yourself explaining, not because the other person genuinely requires the elucidation, but because your own nervous system is desperately crying out for a sense of safety and acceptance. You are striving to preempt rejection, to meticulously control the way you are perceived by the world, and to maintain an illusory peace at virtually any cost. However, any semblance of peace purchased through the profound betrayal of your authentic self is not, in fact, true peace. It is merely an internal war, cloaked in a politely agreeable facade. Pause for a moment and truly reflect on how significantly your life has been molded and directed by this entrenched habit. Consider the countless instances when you uttered yes despite your body's clear signal of no, only to later find yourself resentfully explaining your subsequent exhaustion or frustration. How many times did you remain tethered to conversations that utterly drained your vital energy, purely because you felt it would be rude or impolite to disengage without offering a meticulously detailed reason for your departure? How many unenthusiastic responses have you drafted to messages you had no desire to answer? How many events or gatherings have you attended against your genuine inclinations? How much unacceptable behavior have you tolerated? Behavior you unequivocally should never have endured, all stemming from a deep-seated belief that you owed the world an exhaustive, full report on every single one of your personal choices. This insidious process is precisely how individuals gradually, imperceptibly, lose their emotional fortitude and spine. It doesn't occur in a singular, dramatic moment of capitulation, but rather through 1,000-minute, internal negotiations conducted against their own authentic desires and needs. It is an immutable truth that the world will always contain individuals who, for various reasons, will choose or simply manage to misunderstand you. That undeniable reality is not, in itself, a tragedy. The true tragedy, the profound misfortune, lies in becoming so utterly consumed by the fear of being misunderstood that you eventually cease to be honest with yourself. For once that insidious internal dialogue commences, you no longer merely explain your choices to external audiences. You begin the equally destructive habit of explaining them to your own inner being. You start justifying your own profound exhaustion. You start rationalizing the disrespect you've received or allowed. You begin to convince yourself that perhaps the situation wasn't that bad, or that maybe you should be more understanding. You persuade yourself that perhaps maintaining the peace just a little longer is the correct path. And in doing so, the prison of self-justification is no longer an external construct. It has become an internal, self-imposed confinement within you. Indeed, it is now deeply embedded within your very being. There resides a quiet, yet formidable, power in the simple ability to utter no. But there exists an even more profound strength in articulating that refusal without the appendage of a lengthy speech or elaborate justification. This isn't because you are cold or uncaring, but precisely because your no is inherently complete. It requires no decorative flourishes, no arduous defense, and certainly no apology artfully disguised as an explanation. Individuals who inherently lack respect for your no will, almost without exception, remain unsatisfied by any reasons you provide. They will merely appropriate your explanations as leverage, using them to persist in their efforts to push and manipulate. Should you state you are tired, they will dismissively declare it won't take long. Should you articulate your busyness, they will instruct you to rearrange your schedule. If you express feeling overwhelmed, they will undoubtedly retort that you are overreacting. Should you assert your need for personal space, they will immediately accuse you of pulling away or becoming aloof. Do you now clearly perceive how the act of explanation inadvertently transforms into a convenient doorway for negotiation? A door which, in many instances, ought to remain firmly shut? Your life invariably becomes significantly lighter and more manageable the moment you internalize this crucial insight. You are not obliged to have everyone agree with your personal standards or boundaries. You are not required to secure universal understanding for your unique life's path. Nor must you gain everyone's approval for the deeply personal pace of your healing journey. Some individuals will, quite frankly, only understand you when your decisions directly serve their own benefit or convenience. Such a transactional dynamic is not genuine understanding. It is, quite simply, opportunistic convenience. Authentic respect possesses the resilience to withstand disappointment. Genuine care can not only survive, but often thrives in the presence of a healthy boundary. And true love has the enduring capacity to embrace your complete honesty. Conversely, anything that abruptly collapses the very instant you cease over-explaining was, fundamentally, never stable or robust to begin with. The deep-seated compulsion to incessantly explain oneself frequently originates in the formative years of childhood. Perhaps you were nurtured within an environment where every single choice you made was scrutinized and questioned. Perhaps you were inadvertently taught that articulating a no invariably led to some form of punishment or disapproval. It's possible you learned early on that any disagreement inevitably sparked conflict, created emotional distance, or resulted in feelings of profound shame. Consequently, you might have been compelled to become exceptionally skilled at discerning moods, artfully softening the truth, and assiduously keeping others calm and placated. Thus, as an adult, your communication is no longer a simple act of speaking. Instead, you constantly anticipate potential reactions, meticulously prepare your responses, carefully edit your words, and diligently manage the perceptions of others, leading you to habitually over-explain. This is because, deep within, a younger, more vulnerable part of you still fervently believes that your safety and well-being are intrinsically dependent upon being perfectly understood by everyone. However, the journey of adulthood necessitates the assimilation of a crucial new lesson. Safety doesn't exclusively arise from being understood. Indeed, sometimes safety emanates from the sheer act of standing firm in your convictions and boundaries, even when others fail to grasp your motivations. This, precisely, is why a grounded silence can prove to be so incredibly powerful. I'm not referring to an angry silence, nor a passive-aggressive one, nor am I speaking of silence wielded as a punitive weapon. Instead, I mean a truly grounded silence, a stillness that unequivocally communicates, "I know what I am doing." It is a silence that confidently declares, "I feel no urgent compulsion to rush into frantic self-defense." It is a profound silence that subtly conveys, "Your misunderstanding of me is not, in fact, an emergency that demands my immediate rectification." This particular kind of assured silence deeply unsettles individuals who are accustomed to dominating and controlling conversations through subtle or overt pressure. They fully anticipate that you will scramble for words, frantically attempting to justify yourself. They expect you to explain tirelessly until they, and they alone, feel completely satisfied. But when you steadfastly remain composed and unwavering, when you resolutely refuse to abandon your own needs and integrity merely to appease their comfort, a profound shift fundamentally alters the dynamic. You effectively cease to be easily manipulated. People will often profess that they simply desire honesty, yet what they truly seek is a version of honesty that never inconveniences or challenges them. They crave the truth, but only so long as it is meticulously wrapped in layers of softness, accompanied by apologies, and diluted with perceptible self-doubt. They might even tolerate your boundary, but only if it sufficiently accommodates their personal preferences and desires. They may claim to want your authenticity, but only if that authenticity continues to preserve their sense of control. The very moment your truth becomes solid, simple, and unequivocally non-negotiable, a significant number of these individuals will invariably label it as harsh or unreasonable. Why does this happen? Primarily because the unwavering certainty displayed by others starkly exposes the very areas where these individuals have become accustomed to wielding power and influence. If you find yourself perpetually explaining your every move, I urge you to pose a deeply uncomfortable, yet vital, question to yourself. Who instilled in you the belief that your simple, autonomous choices necessitate an elaborate defense? Who led you to feel that your mere existence, as your authentic self, must be rigorously backed by irrefutable evidence? Who taught you that causing disappointment to another is a more egregious transgression than the profound act of betraying your own self? These are not trivial inquiries. They are weighty questions that illuminate the unseen chains that a majority of people continue to drag through their adult lives. And here lies the most painful aspect of this reality. Many individuals remain tragically unaware that they are indeed chained, primarily because these very chains are frequently praised and valorized by society. They are lauded as nice, humble, or considerate. However, being effortlessly easy to misuse is not genuine kindness. The inability to firmly uphold a boundary is not true humility. And constant, habitual self-abandonment is certainly not compassion. There are, unequivocally, times when the act of explaining yourself evolves into a cunning trap, creating the dangerous illusion that resolution and understanding are genuinely possible with individuals who are fundamentally unwilling or incapable of offering either. You might tell yourself, perhaps if I articulate it more clearly, or maybe if I employ better vocabulary, or what if I am more patient? You might even think, perhaps if I reveal my deepest intentions, or what if I simply tell them how profoundly this hurts me? Yet, the stark reality is that some people comprehend perfectly well. They simply, profoundly, do not care. That, precisely, is why you can repeat the same unequivocal truth 10 times over and still feel entirely unseen or unheard. You are not failing to communicate effectively. You are, rather, attempting to plant delicate seeds in impenetrable concrete. This phenomenon holds particularly true the moment you embark on a journey of personal change and growth. The instant you begin to diligently protect your precious time, consciously choose periods of restorative solitude, resolutely refuse to engage in unnecessary drama, unequivocally reject disrespect, and courageously relinquish the pervasive need to be universally liked, some individuals will invariably become deeply uncomfortable. They had grown accustomed to the old excess, your previous boundless generosity of self. They were habituated to your constant overavailability. They had become reliant on your guilt. They had grown dependent on your endless explanations, precisely because those explanations perpetually kept the door to your energy and time wide open for them. The very moment you cease this pattern, they panic. Their panic isn't born from any sudden cruelty on your part, but rather from the realization that they can no longer gain access to you or manipulate you through a haze of confusion or self-doubt. A truly strong and discerning mind does not squander its invaluable energy attempting to be universally understood by everyone. Such an endeavor is, quite simply, an impossible pipe dream. The more visible and prominent you become, the greater the multitude of unsolicited opinions that will inevitably find their way to you. The more you personally grow and evolve, the more certain individuals will project their own insecurities and unresolved issues onto you. And the more authentically honest and transparent you become, the more those individuals perpetually living a life of performance and pretense will undoubtedly resent your unvarnished clarity. Should you persist in relentlessly chasing universal approval, you will inevitably dilute your own profound truth until it becomes too weak and insubstantial to effectively guide your own life's journey. Then, one day, you will survey your surroundings and starkly realize that almost everyone holds a fragmented, often inaccurate, version of you within their own minds. And, crucially, none of those myriad versions truly represent the authentic you. This, precisely, is why profound inner clarity and self-knowledge matter infinitely more than achieving superficial outer agreement or external validation. When you are intimately acquainted with your core values, your decisions naturally become quieter, more self-assured. When you possess unwavering clarity regarding your guiding principles, you cease engaging in futile arguments with every fleeting, passing opinion. When you learn to trust your own innate discernment, you stop treating every accusation or criticism as a profound spiritual emergency. Instead, you begin to thoughtfully inquire, is this feedback genuinely useful, or is it merely a projection of their own issues? Is this conversation truly sincere and constructive, or is it a covert attempt to exert control? Is this explanation truly necessary, or am I merely trying to soothe someone else's discomfort at the detrimental expense of my own truth? And comprehend this point with utmost care and precision. The act of refusing to explain yourself to everyone does not equate to becoming closed-hearted or unapproachable. Rather, it signifies a conscious evolution towards becoming discerning and judicious. It means you cease carelessly pouring your most sacred internal resources and vulnerabilities into hands that may not truly appreciate or safeguard them. Your inner life is undeniably sacred. Your deeply personal reasons are sacred. Your delicate journey of healing is sacred. Your firmly established boundaries are sacred. You are under no obligation whatsoever to offer the entire world a comprehensive, guided tour of your soul. Indeed, some profound aspects of your being are simply not meant to be publicly debated or scrutinized. Some of your most crucial decisions are forged in private, solitary alignment with your true self, not through a public committee's approval. Certain seasons of your life demand unwavering protection and quiet introspection, not exhaustive explanation to every curious onlooker. Furthermore, there exists yet another compelling reason to exercise restraint and avoid over-explaining yourself. The more you communicate from a place of deep-seated insecurity, the less effectively people genuinely register your actual, intended message. Instead, they predominantly perceive your underlying fear. When your carefully chosen words are overloaded with palpable anxiety, your energetic presence, rather than your vocabulary, communicates the true narrative. And energy, crucially, speaks its truth long before language ever does. You might offer a beautifully articulated explanation, but if its origin is fear, people will instinctively sense the instability, the subtle wobble. They will perceive that your boundary is fragile and that your decision remains open to being challenged and pushed. This is precisely why a simple, direct sentence, articulated from a position of unwavering conviction, frequently carries far greater force and authority than an entire, lengthy paragraph delivered from a place of guilt or appeasement. An individual deeply rooted in profound self-respect might often utter very little. They might, with quiet assurance, simply state, "That does not work for me," or "I will not be continuing this," or "I need space," or "I am unavailable," or "I have decided otherwise," or even a courteous, "I wish you well." These are not dramatic pronouncements, nor are they aggressive or intentionally cruel. Crucially, they are complete and unequivocal. This very completeness instills fear in individuals who have learned to rely on confusion and ambiguity to exert control. Such profound simplicity unnerves those who have consistently fed upon over-explanation and emotional excess. And unwavering clarity frightens those who are accustomed to effortlessly navigating through your life with virtually no resistance whatsoever. You must cultivate the vital skill of distinguishing between people who genuinely seek understanding and those who are primarily seeking leverage for their own benefit. The former group listens with genuine intent. The latter group, however, interrogates with an underlying agenda. The first group, despite potential disappointment, will respect your definitive answer. The second group will incessantly tug at your words, meticulously searching for any perceived weakness or opening. The first group may pose questions out of a desire for authentic connection. The second group asks questions specifically to regain their lost sense of control. Once you clearly discern this fundamental difference, you will naturally cease granting the same level of intimate access to every individual. You will stop handing over your private reasoning and vulnerabilities to people who have done absolutely nothing to earn or deserve such a privilege. And yes, it is an undeniable reality that at times, people will misjudge you. They will construct elaborate narratives about why you have changed, why you chose to leave, why you ceased tolerating what you once endured, or why your energetic presence now feels distinctly different. Simply allow them their interpretations. Not every falsehood requires your meticulous correction. Not every misunderstanding necessitates your immediate intervention. Not every fabricated story demands the expenditure of your precious voice or emotional labor. Some battles only serve to utterly exhaust you because you erroneously conflate visibility with an inherent responsibility to respond. You mistakenly believe that if someone utters an untruth about you, you are obligated to rush in and rectify it. However, more often than not, your inner peace is far better preserved and protected through dignified non-participation. There is profound wisdom in allowing certain dissonant noise to simply starve from a lack of your attention and engagement. You must also bear in mind that the act of explanation itself can morph into an insidious addiction. It frequently generates a temporary, fleeting sensation of relief. You articulate your piece, and for a brief moment, it feels as though you have reclaimed a measure of control. But if the other person's intentions were never truly sincere, that transient relief rapidly dissipates, and the draining cycle relentlessly begins anew. This cycle entails more messages, more self-defending, more attempts at clarifying, more arduous emotional labor, more pervasive regret, and ultimately, more profound exhaustion. The only genuine cure for this predicament isn't merely a more eloquent or comprehensive explanation. Rather, it is the establishment of a significantly stronger boundary. Most people don't actually require a more refined vocabulary. What they truly need is a deeper, more resilient tolerance for the discomfort of being misunderstood. They need the emotional fortitude to allow others the luxury of holding incomplete or inaccurate opinions about them. They need the discipline to remain steadfast and unyielding when met with another person's disappointment. And, crucially, they need the profound self-respect to deliberately choose silence in situations where speaking would only serve to relinquish more personal power to the wrong individual. This practice is far from easy. It fundamentally contravenes the insatiable hunger of the ego, which perpetually yearns to be seen accurately, praised appropriately, and understood perfectly. Yet, true freedom truly commences the moment you no longer require every single eye to perceive you accurately in order to remain anchored and grounded within yourself. Imagine for a moment the sheer abundance of energy that would return to you. Imagine the liberation that comes when you cease transforming every minor disagreement into a personal mission to justify yourself. Picture how remarkably quiet your mind would become once you stop rehearsing intricate defensive speeches in the shower, in the car, or just before falling asleep. Imagine the profound depth with which you could finally breathe when you fully realize that another person's subjective opinion of your boundary in no way dictates whether that boundary was inherently right or necessary for you. This, truly, is the transformative moment when your life begins its beautiful simplification. This simplification occurs not because everyone around you suddenly undergoes a miraculous transformation, but rather because you do. Some of you are, even now, still carrying the heavy burden of entire conversations within your chest, dialogues from last week, last month, even last year. You are replaying things you wished you had articulated differently, or things you desperately wished they had understood. But I ask you, why are you still shouldering this emotional weight? Why are you still paying valuable mental rent for individuals in your mind who have never, in any meaningful way, paid you due respect in your actual life? Sometimes, true closure isn't found within a final conversation. Sometimes, closure is simply the courageous decision to cease explaining altogether. Sometimes, the profound process of healing truly commences the very day you internalize the understanding that not everyone will meet you in a space of genuine truth, and crucially, you no longer require them to. There is an immense discipline inherent in the practice of restraint. A truly disciplined individual does not feel compelled to respond to every accusation hurled their way. A disciplined individual does not chase down every single misunderstanding. A disciplined person does not emotionally collapse every time someone expresses displeasure or upset. Instead, they consciously pause. They calmly observe the situation. They then thoughtfully ask themselves, what is this truly about? Is this individual genuinely confused, or are they, in fact, offended that I am no longer available to inhabit their preconceived version of me? Is this a sincere, constructive conversation, or is it a manipulative attempt to pull me back into an old, outgrown role? When you have, for years, practiced being excessively accommodating, your initial attempts at establishing and holding boundaries may feel distinctly unnatural. They might even feel unkind or mean. This sensation is, in fact, quite common. An individual who has been, through various experiences, conditioned to habitually abandon their own needs and desires will frequently conflate genuine self-respect with perceived selfishness. They will experience profound guilt for disappointing others. They will feel anxious simply for being concise in their communication. They might even perceive themselves as cold or uncaring for not offering an exhaustive explanation. But it is paramount to remember that feelings are not always the arbiters of truth. A boundary can evoke discomfort, yet still be unequivocally correct for your well-being. Silence can feel profoundly unfamiliar, yet still embody immense wisdom. You are not inherently wrong simply because someone else expresses unhappiness that you have become, by their standards, harder to manipulate. Observe, too, the significant extent to which over-explaining is intricately tied to the management of one's public image. You desire to be perceived as good, fair, loving, and thoughtful, and there is, inherently, nothing amiss with cultivating these admirable qualities. However, when the preservation of your external image surpasses the importance of your internal integrity, you invariably begin to make decisions based on superficial optics rather than profound truth. You might utter a yes purely to project an image of generosity. You remain silent, perhaps simply to appear calm and composed. You explain things endlessly, hoping to be seen as reasonable and rational. Meanwhile, deep within, you are utterly tired, simmering with resentment, and profoundly disconnected from your authentic self. That, I assure you, is not true goodness. It is a meticulously crafted performance delivered with a polite smile. Genuine maturity is not about tirelessly proving yourself to every single person you encounter. True maturity lies in the innate wisdom of discerning when proof or justification is genuinely unnecessary. It is the capacity to recognize when a conversation promises to be fruitful and constructive, and when it is merely a draining, unproductive exchange. It involves understanding precisely when to articulate your thoughts with honesty and integrity, and when, conversely, to allow the eloquent power of silence to convey your message. Ultimately, it is the profound realization that your life cannot be properly or authentically lived if every single decision is perpetually filtered through the debilitating fear of how someone else might interpret it. There resides a truly beautiful and liberating freedom in becoming less readily available for unnecessary explanations. You cease living your life in the perpetually defensive posture of a defendant. You stop painstakingly narrating your every move and motivation. You relinquish the exhausting burden of managing the emotions of other people who steadfastly refuse to manage their own. You stop laboriously translating the complex nuances of your soul into simplistic language for those who harbor no genuine intention of truly listening or comprehending. And as a consequence, slowly but surely, your words regain their inherent weight and significance. This transformation occurs because you now speak from a conscious choice, rather than from a desperate compulsion. You articulate your thoughts and feelings because something truly matters to you, not because you are consumed by panic at the mere possibility of disapproval. The individuals who are genuinely meant to be a part of your life will never demand that you exhaust your vital energy simply to be afforded basic respect and consideration. They may not concur with every single choice you make, but they will never coerce you into arduous emotional labor merely to earn your own autonomy or self-determination. They will not punish your carefully set boundaries with contempt or derision. They certainly will not demand a detailed thesis every time you wisely choose to protect your peace. And if, in the wake of your cessation of over-explaining, someone entirely disappears from your life, then what truly departed was not genuine understanding, but rather a burdensome excess. Therefore, the very next time you feel that familiar, compulsive urge to defend a boundary that you intrinsically know is right for you, pause. Take a moment to truly feel your body. Observe the old, familiar fear beginning to rise within you. Notice that ingrained instinct to soften your stance, to justify your position, and to provide excessive proof. Then, pose this single, potent question to yourself. Am I explaining this in order to genuinely create clarity, or am I explaining because I am profoundly afraid of being disliked or disapproved of? That singular question holds the power to save you years of profound exhaustion. For the undeniable truth is, many of the people who vehemently demand an explanation from you are not, in fact, asking "help me to understand you better." Instead, their underlying plea is, "convince me to accept a reality over which I have no control." And to be clear, that is unequivocally not your responsibility or your job. Your profound responsibility is to live truthfully and authentically. Your sacred duty is to diligently protect what is truly precious and inviolable within you. Your imperative is to cease casting your invaluable energy into environments where it is merely transformed into distracting noise and unproductive drama. Your purpose is to become so deeply and unshakably rooted in your own inner clarity that you no longer tremble with apprehension every time someone misunderstands your silence, your deliberate distance, your firmly established boundary, your personal standards, your courageous changes, or your resolute refusal to continue shrinking yourself merely to remain digestible in the eyes of others. And when that transformative day inevitably arrives, when your no becomes unequivocally clean and clear, when your silence becomes deeply grounded and assured, when your carefully considered decisions cease begging for external understanding, when your authentic presence no longer bends or buckles under the crushing weight of everyone else's expectations, you will discern something profoundly powerful and liberating. Your life will cease to feel like a constant, exhausting debate and will instead begin to feel like a clear, discernible path, a truly authentic journey, one steady step following another. It will unfold without the distracting noise, without the need for performance, and without that persistent, debilitating urge to halt your progress and painstakingly explain to every casual passerby precisely why you chose this particular direction in the first place.